This camera comes everywhere with me. This is a Fujifilm X100F, and it's part of Fuji's X100 lineup, which you probably know from the super popular X100V. Now, I'll be honest, when the X100V came out, that was really the first time, because it got so popular, that was the first time that I knew these cameras existed. I wasn't really following along with Fuji's releases, and the X100V really caught my eye because of its fixed lens, its small body, its super compact design that you literally take anywhere with you and you still have a super high quality image. Now, the reason why this is the X100F and not the X100V, well, the prices for the X100V kind of skyrocketed. Even though that was the camera that I wanted to get, I wasn't about to spend an extra $1,000, $2,000 to get a camera way above retail price. So I was looking for the alternative, still a camera that small, compact, fixed lens, and the best one for that was the model before the X100V, which is the X100F. So I've had this camera for a couple months now, and it quite literally comes everywhere with me. I've taken it to Iceland, I've taken it to Miami, all the trips that I've been on in the past couple months, I've taken this camera with me, and that's because I really enjoy shooting with it. I feel like I can take non-professional photos, even though it still does take super high quality professional photos. And I feel like that's because when I'm shooting on my A7 IV, I don't take any other photos unless it's for work or to post on social media. I don't take photos of my friends or of my family or of just random things that I'll never post because I don't want to go through that post-processing work. With the X100F, I don't have to do any of that. I've been shooting in JPEG since the day I got it. Yes, you can shoot in RAW if you want to, but I've been shooting in JPEG just for the simple fact of not having to go edit my photos. So I shoot in JPEG, there's built-in film simulations, and I've created my own film recipes, and that's baked right into the JPEG, except these film simulations and film recipes are way better than the picture profiles that are on cameras like my Sony or on the Canon that are just like portrait or landscape or standard. This is way more intuitive. You can add film recipes like Portra 400 and stuff to emulate a film stock, and they look really good. So when I'm out shooting with this camera, I'm shooting in JPEG, I'm using my film recipe that I've made, and when I take a photo and let's say I want to make a quick Instagram story or even an Instagram post like I did in Miami, I just go into the wireless communication menu in this camera, transfer it over to my phone, it's a JPEG, I don't have to edit them, and then I just post them directly, skipping the entire post-processing step. Now, the second reason why I love this camera, and it actually has to do with this camera or the X100 series in general, and it's what I mentioned at the very beginning of this video. It's small, it's compact, it has this 35mm equivalent pancake lens, which is a fixed lens, you can't take it off, and it's a 35mm equivalent f2, which for those of you who know me, 35mm is my favorite focal length. So I really like that my favorite focal length is basically on this camera and it can't be taken off. It's got an aperture ring on the outside of the lens so you can adjust your aperture, but the thing that I like about this is that it's small and it looks sleek. So when I'm out and about and I'm just going to the store or going for a walk or something not photography related, I can still throw this camera on my side with my camera strap and it doesn't look as dumb as my Sony A7 IV would look with this massive lens on it, this massive body dangling from the side, and I'm just going to the store or something. Quite literally could be part of your outfit. I also really like how easy it is to shoot with this camera. Now, it's no different than shooting with a regular camera once you get the hang of it. It's just a lot more simplified. When I'm shooting on this camera, I'm shooting at 800 ISO, and that has to do with getting the best dynamic range for the film recipe that I built. I set my aperture to whatever I want my aperture to be. If I'm taking portraits, I'm usually shooting really wide open. If I'm shooting anything else, this lens is a little bit soft, especially at those faster apertures or those wider apertures. So when I'm shooting anything else, I do like to step this up to like f4 or f5.6 and shoot like that. And now my shutter speed, I just keep that on the A mode. I don't know if you can see that, but it's set on automatic, and basically what this will do is when I adjust my exposure compensation, it'll automatically adjust my shutter speed to get the exposure that I want. Now, like I said, this camera also has a built-in ND filter, which is one of my favorite features about this camera, and it just makes the shooting experience even easier, like I said, because it doesn't matter if I'm shooting in super bright daylight or I'm shooting portraits with my aperture wide open. I can just click on this button right at the front here, and it automatically turns on or throws an ND filter on. Now, the one thing that I do not like about this camera, and the one thing that I struggle with all the time, probably every single time I take a photo, is the autofocusing. Now, I'm aware this camera is like 5-6 years old because the X100V came out like 3 years ago. So age is definitely an important factor with, you know, having an older autofocusing system in the camera. I also think I may have messed it up because there was one time where I had the lens cap on the front of the camera and I had turned it on and the lens was trying to like focus, and then I guess it kept hitting the cap or something, and I don't know, it gave me this error message, the camera turned off, and ever since that I've been hearing like a noise coming out every single time I focus. But the problem that I'm having is every time I go and shoot a photo, the autofocusing is hunting a lot, which is usually about 2-3 seconds. Not the biggest deal, and I'm definitely spoiled with the autofocusing systems of like the Sony and the Canons that do a really good job with autofocusing, but I don't know, it doesn't really bother me too much. If I was shooting professionally with this camera, or I was like taking it on my professional shoots and shooting with it, I don't think I would rely on it. I probably wouldn't ever do that. But for casual touristy photos, like I was in Miami and I was just walking down on the sidewalk and I was just snapping photos of random buildings, I don't really care that the autofocusing hunts for 2-3 seconds. It doesn't really bother me. Can it be better? 100%. Would I enjoy the shooting process more if the autofocusing worked better? Probably. But you know what? For a camera that I paid like $800 for, that would be, I don't know, like $500-600 American. This is a really good price for what you're getting out of this camera. But yeah, that's a quick little video for you guys, everything that I like about this camera. If you are thinking about picking up like an X100V or an X100F and you're wondering if it's worth it or not, I do think it's worth it if you can get, let's say, the X100V for the price, the retail price it's on for, or if you can pick up one of these like X100Fs for like under $1,000, I think it's worth it. These cameras are great. Take it everywhere with me. Shoot a ton of photos on it. Went to Miami, took way more photos on this than my A7 IV because I can take those touristy photos. I don't know, I just really love this camera.